Last week when I closed, I said that next week I would have good news because I was going to tell you about the millennium, the 1,000-year reign of Jesus. Well, I am going to talk about that, but it is not the good news I thought it was going to be. I have read about the millennium several times, but I had not studied it. Now that I have studied it, I realize that it is not the blessing I thought it was, at least not for everyone. Let's open with Ezekiel 39, the 39th chapter of Ezekiel. I'm going to start reading at verse 9. Then those who dwell in the cities of Israel, I never gave any thought to where the millennium would happen, but as you can see, it will be in Israel. Let me start again. Then those who dwell in the cities of Israel will go out and set on fire and burn the weapons, both the shields and bucklers, and the bows and arrows, the javelins and spears, and they will make fires with them for 7 years. Ezekiel is the one who had the vision. He sees it through the eyes of a man 2,600 years ago. He could not imagine a modern army with tanks, missiles, artillery, aircraft, and fuel trucks, and infantry soldiers with guns and missile launchers. That is why he saw the weapons of his age. The people were not burning the tanks, missiles, etc. They were burning the diesel fuel, probably used for cooking. I got that from the next verse. They will not take wood from the field, nor cut down any from the forests, because they will make fires with the weapons. Verse 12. For 7 months the house of Israel will be burying them in order to cleanse the land. Again, the house of Israel. This is what opened my eyes to the fact that the millennial reign of Jesus is in Israel. I never gave that any thought before. Verse 13. Indeed, all the people of the land will be burying. The Antichrist's army was probably the largest army ever brought together in one place. They had a lot of bodies to bury. Verses 14 through 15. They will set apart men regularly employed, with the help of a search party, to pass through the land and bury those bodies remaining on the ground in order to cleanse it. Verse 15. The search party will pass through the land, and when anyone sees a man's bone, he will set up a marker by it, till the buriers have buried it in the valley of Hamon Gog. There will be men whose full-time job is to bury the bones of the Antichrist's army. I believe that because the bones will be marked, they could be considered as nuclear waste and treated accordingly. Isaiah had quite a bit to contribute from time to time. We get an idea how God shared his visions concerning the future. Here a little, there a little. Prophets rarely got the whole understanding at one time. For instance, in Isaiah 2:4, speaking of life during the millennial reign, he said, in verse 4, He shall judge between the nations and rebuke many people. They shall beat their spears into pruning hooks, Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. Isaiah got a glimpse of a time of peace. Now we skip to Isaiah 11, verses 6 through 9. This is verse 6. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the young goat, the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. The cow and the bear shall graze. Their young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox. Their nursing child shall play by the cobra's hole, and the weaned child shall put his hand in the viper's den. They shall not hurt nor destroy in my holy mountain. For the earth shall be full of knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. The animals that are meat eaters will eat grass. The snakes will no longer be a threat to man or babies. The earth will be in perfect harmony. Let's go to Isaiah 60, verses 19 through 22. The sun shall no longer be your light by day, nor for brightness shall the moon give light to you. But the Lord will be to you an everlasting light, and your glory, God, your glory. Your sun shall no longer go down, nor shall your moon withdraw itself, for the Lord will be your everlasting light, and the days of your mourning shall be ended. Also, your people shall be righteous. They shall inherit the land forever, the branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I be glorified. A little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. The Lord will hasten it in its time. In other words, a baby shall become the father or the mother of nations. Next, Isaiah tells us what he sees concerning a new heaven and a new earth. In Isaiah 24:4, Behold, the Lord makes the earth empty and makes it waste, distorts its surface, and scatters abroad its inhabitants. The earth, meaning the dirt ball we live on, mourns and fades away. The world and the people languish and fades away. The haughty people and the earth languish. The world is a reference to the people of the world. The earth also is defiled under its inhabitants, because they transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken everlasting covenant. Therefore, the curse has devoured the earth, and those who dwell in it are desolate. Therefore, the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men are left. This time, God destroys the earth by reshaping it, then burning it. Why? The Jews broke God's covenant with Moses. They would break his covenant and then repent. Things would go well for a while, and then they would turn away again. Over and over, they angered God. Finally, God has had enough. The covenant is covered in Deuteronomy 28. The first 14 verses are the blessings, and they're good blessings. After that, the next 14 verses list the curses that will befall them if they break his covenant, and they are curses. You would think that they would learn. I will elaborate on the covenant shortly. The new earth, what shape is it? I don't know. The sun and moon are gone. In Mark 13:24 and 25, it says that the sun will be darkened, and the stars of heaven will fall, and the powers in the heavens will be shaken. I doubt if our solar system exists any longer, since the sun is gone. God could reshape the earth to look like a pizza. No, don't laugh. As you will see in a few minutes, God and the Lamb will provide all the light. They replace the sun. Since there is no sun, the earth won't have an orbit around the sun. God and the Lamb are on their thrones, and their Shekinah glory, that's the glory of God, illuminates the world and what is left of it, from a point of origin that is in Jerusalem. This will please the flat earthers. For I believe, and this is my belief, that the earth will probably be flat, so that the light coming from Jerusalem will light the world. Light does not bend, so a spherical planet would be dark everywhere except in the line of sight from Jerusalem. This is not biblical. It is ray and light physics. The New Jerusalem will be huge. It will be 2,250,000 square miles. Too big for Israel. I'll get to that later. Isaiah had another vision in chapter 65, verses 17 through 25. For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered or come to mind. With no memory of the former, the people will not remember or miss their loved ones who died in the apocalypse. But be glad, Isaiah continues, and rejoice forever in what I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem as a rejoicing, and her people a joy. I will rejoice in Jerusalem and joy in my people. I was disappointed to realize that we are not included in my people. We, being Christians, were grafted into his family. We are his family, only we were adopted. I continue reading. The voice of the weeping shall no longer be heard in her, nor the voice of crying, nor shall an infant from there live but a few days, nor an old man who has not fulfilled his days. For the child shall die 100 years old, but the sinner, being 100 years old, shall be accursed. The sinner? That's a surprise. Well, not really. Who is populating the millennium? Jews and Muslims mostly. There are a few Christians and a lot of unbelievers, atheists and agnostics. That is the mix of people during the millennium. I always thought it was a pre-heaven for Christians. Moving on. They shall build houses and inhabit them. They shall plant vineyards and eat their fruit. They shall not build and another inhabit. They shall not plant and another eat. These words are almost word for word from the 28th chapter of Deuteronomy. They are canceling the curses contained in that chapter. I continue with Isaiah 65. For as the days of a tree, so shall be the days of my people. That could be hundreds of years old, just like in the Old Testament when people lived for hundreds of years. and my elect shall enjoy the work of their hands. They shall not labor in vain, nor bring forth children for trouble. Today, many children are trouble, big trouble, for their parents, but not in the millennium. For they shall be the descendants of the blessed of the Lord, and their offspring with them. It shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer, and while they are still speaking, I will hear. Normally, when I pray, I don't get an answer quickly. I usually must wait hours or days. I continue. The wolf and the lamb shall feed together. The lion shall eat straw like the ox, and dust shall be the serpent's food. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, says the Lord. Have you heard this before? God repeats this theme 3 times. Now I'm reading from Revelation chapter 20, starting at verse 1. Then I saw an angel coming down from heaven, having the key to the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. He laid hold of the dragon, that serpent of old, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. And he cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up. And I set a seal on him, so that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years were finished. But after these things he must be released for a little while. Why did God release Satan after 1,000 years? There will be a number of people who are Christians, but most are Jews, Muslims, and unbelievers. God does not force us to believe in Him and Jesus. Everyone has freedom of choice. The nations of people, millions upon millions, are not believers. Moving on. And I saw thrones, and they sat on them, and judgment was committed to them. Then I saw the souls of those who had been beheaded for their witness to Jesus and for the word of God, who had not worshipped the beast or his image, and had not received the mark on his forehead or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Christ for 1,000 years. But the rest of the dead did not live again until the 1,000 years' reigns was finished. This is the first resurrection. My eyes almost popped out when I saw this. The martyrs who were beheaded during the tribulation will be resurrected to serve Jesus during the millennium for 1,000 years. This is the first resurrection. After the millennium, all of the other dead will be resurrected in the second resurrection. Blessed and holy is he who has part in the first resurrection. Over such the second death has no power, but they shall be priests of God and of Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. But the rest of the dead did not live again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. This wording is awkward. The martyrs are in the first resurrection, and the rest of the dead are resurrected after 1,000 years. Blessed and holy is he who has part in the first resurrection. Over such the second death has no power, but they shall be priests and God of Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. Again, this is talking about the martyrs. Now when the 1,000 years have expired, Satan will be released from prison and will go out to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, together with them to battle, whose number is as the sand of the sea. They went up on the breadth of the earth and surrounded the camp of the saints and that beloved city. And fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. Poof! Millions of people gone. I ask why a lot. So why didn't they believe in Jesus? 3 reasons, I believe: religion, sin, and unbelief. The world at that time will have Jews, Muslims, and perhaps some new religions, but also there are people who are not capable of believing. No doubt there will still be people arguing for evolution. The devil, who deceived them, was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and they will be tormented day and night forever and ever. At last. Glad to get rid of the devil. Then I saw a great white throne, and him who sat on it, from whose face the earth and heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them. I saw the dead, small and great, standing before God, and books were open, and another book was open, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged according to their works, by the things which were written in the books. This is what 1 Corinthians 3, verses 12 through 15 is all about. Now everyone builds on this foundation with gold, silver, precious stone, wood, hay, straw, and each one's work will become clear. For the day, that's the judgment day, will declare it, because it will be revealed by fire, and the fire will test each one's work of what sort it is. If anyone's work which has been built on it endures, he will receive a reward. If anyone's work is burned, he will suffer loss, but he himself will be saved, yet so as through by fire. This is about the white throne judgment. Now I'm down to Revelation 20. The sea gave up the dead who were in it, and death and Hades delivered up the dead who were in them, and they were judged, each one according to his works. Then death and Hades were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And anyone not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. I'm sorry. I do not know who or what the death and Hades are, and why they were sent into the lake of fire. If you know, please leave me a comment. Continuing with chapter 21. This is verse 1. Now I saw a new heaven and new earth, for the first heaven and first earth had passed away, and there was no more sea. Why did God create the new earth without oceans? I believe that because Big fish eat smaller fish, which eat smaller fish. There is nothing else for them to eat. They can't eat grass like the lion. Their purpose is to be food. Since there will be no death in the new heaven, ever, marine life isn't necessary anymore. Back to Revelation. Then I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people. God himself will be with them and be their God. No more praying and wondering where God is. Verse 4, And God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There shall no more be death, no sorrow, no crying. There shall be no more pain, for the former things have passed away. Verse 8, But the cowardly, unbelieving, abominable, murderers, sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. Why is this included here? It is God's way of canceling hope for the lost. Verse 16, The city is laid out as a square. Its length is as great as its breadth. And he measured the city with a reed, 12,000 furlongs. Its length, breadth, and height are equal, 1,500 miles wide, 1,500 miles long, and 1,500 miles high. He measures its walls, 144 cubits, according to the measure of a man, that is, of an angel. The walls are 216 feet thick. Let me give you a little perspective. From the northern border of America, halfway down Mexico, and as wide as from Detroit to Portland, Oregon. That is approximately 1,500 miles square. The construction of its wall was of jasper, and the city was pure gold, like clear glass. This is important. The Father and Jesus are on their thrones in the middle of New Jerusalem. They are emanating light from there. If the walls of the city were not clear, then the world would be dark. And the nations of those who are saved shall walk in its light, and the kings of the earth bring their glory and honor into it. But there shall by no means enter it anything that defiles, or causes an abomination, or a lie, but only those who are written in the Lamb's book of life. What is this all about? It defines why people in the next verse cannot come in. Chapter 22, verse 15. But outside are dogs, and sorcerers, and sexually immoral, and murderers, and idolaters, and whoever loves and practices a lie. Who are these people? What are they doing in this godly place? I'm glad you asked. I have been asking this for several years. Remember the millennium? There were believers there, although some of them were what I call carnal Christians. They all died when the earth was being reworked. The martyrs, not all of them were Bible toters or word-speaking Christians. Some were no doubt carnal Christians too, but they went up in the first resurrection. By the way, resurrection means that we put on our earth suit again, flesh and bones. Then there were the dead who went up in the second resurrection. Some of those did not have their names in the Lamb's Book of Life. They were eliminated in the white throne judgment. The rest called themselves Christians, but many, perhaps most, were carnal Christians. What has puzzled me for years is verse 15. But outside are dogs and sorcerers and sexually immoral and murderers and idolaters and whoever loves and practices a lie. These are the people who live like the devil all week and show up to church on Sundays. They talk the talk, but do not walk the walk. They believe in Jesus, but not enough to give him their all. They are not allowed in the New Jerusalem. But like it said in 1 Corinthians 3:15, if anyone's work is burned, he will suffer loss, but he himself will be saved, yet so as through fire. They will be outside and cannot come into the New Jerusalem, but they are saved. This has been my longest teaching. It was the most difficult lesson that I have studied. I don't know about you, but I learned an awful lot. Thank you for sticking it out to the end. If you have comments, I would like to hear from you. Tell me in what state or what country you heard this. Thank you for listening.